Hey, it's Eva Janata from Simply Put Marketing. Thank you so much for watching this video. If we've not met before, I am a digital marketer and I work with women in business who want to communicate brilliantly online. So through social media and content marketing, among other things, I have a track record for helping women create meaningful connections with their clients and prospects to build flourishing and profitable communities. And today, I want to talk about how you can repurpose the long-form content you're writing for your website. That's usually in the form of a blog post. How you can repurpose that content in other ways to get more mileage out of the work you're doing for your business. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about how to do this for social media. Today, I'm talking about how to do this with other mediums, other formats, and even other places on your website or in your marketing that you can reuse your content. So the first thing is you can reuse your content between your blog and your email list. Some folks will use the same content for both already. They'll write a blog post and then send it to their email list, but other folks prefer to use different content in each place. And if that's your strategy, I would encourage you to pay attention to the content that performs best on email, so that gets the highest open rate, the greatest click-through rate, and look at whatever it was that you wrote, the theme, the topic, and repurpose that by creating a blog post on that same topic, and vice versa, right? So if you have a blog post that does really well that you think you could tweak a little bit, update, maybe make more specific for your email list, I would encourage you to use that content and then write an email with it. So that's strategy number one, is to crisscross your content between email and your blog posts. Again, if you prefer to keep that content separate, you can do the crisscrossing, months apart, even years apart, which is what I've done with some of my clients. If we're looking for ideas for what to send via email, we'll take a look at our Google Analytics for our blog and see what some of our most popular blog posts are, and then use those to inspire email content. Strategy number two, to get more mileage out of the content you're writing for your business, is to publish it on other platforms. So I always recommend, if you've written a blog post, that you share it on LinkedIn, both as a native LinkedIn Pulse article, but also as an update to your feed and in any groups that might be relevant that you're a member of. Other options would include publishing it on Medium or one of Medium's many affiliates, or doing a swap with a colleague, or even a client, a friend, a partner, business, like a strategic partner, asking if they would be willing to feature it as a guest post on their website. So that's the second way you can repurpose your long-form content. Thirdly, I would encourage you to consider publishing it in other formats. So if you've written a blog post, could you turn it into a video, which is, surprise, surprise, what I'm doing right now. Could you turn it into a video? Could you do an audio recording of it and send that to your list or share that on social media? Even if it's not as official as making it into a podcast for your business, some folks will still prefer to listen to your content via audio as opposed to reading it. That way they can listen when they're driving or doing housework or whatever, exercising. So yeah, video, audio, and also graphically. A lot of folks, graphics perform, like infographics and stats that are displayed with charts and graphs. Those perform really well, both on social media and just on your website. They're colorful, they'll draw some interest. I actually have a friend, and I'll post a link to this in the comments later, but I have a friend who created an infographic of her resume. She's an actor and a singer, among many other things. She's a real Renaissance woman, but she created this really funny and interesting and lively infographic describing all the different roles she's had in productions in the past. There was one section which was number of men who have died in my arms on stage. It was just very quirky and humorous, and I thought that was a brilliant way to take her resume, which is also displayed on her website, and turn it into an infographic. So that's the third way you can do something more with your content to help it get farther and appeal to different people. Now, if you're thinking about doing any of those 3 strategies I just named retroactively for content that you've already published in the past, as opposed to content that you're planning to publish in the future, like I mentioned, the best way to make decisions about this is to have a look at your analytics, whether that's your Google Analytics for your website, to take a look at your most popular blog posts to see how you can repurpose those, or if you're looking at some of your best performances on LinkedIn or on other social media, take a look at what you've done that has performed really well, that has engaged your audience and connected you with people, and use that as a starting point for what to repurpose going forward. There's no need to repurpose your content retroactively in chronological order. That would just not be the most strategic approach. Certainly some of your content is going to be more popular and more relevant and more useful than others. So in my case, for example, I've noticed that I published a post last year about why you might be losing Facebook likes and what to do about that. And that's been one of the best blog posts I've ever written for bringing organic search traffic to my website. And I know this because I looked at the analytics. So I'm now thinking, can I write a follow-up post to that? Can I share that to my email list? Can I make an infographic about it? Can I record a video about it? I'm thinking about other ways I can go further with that topic since people seem to find it helpful. So the 4th strategy, and this one's a little bit more complicated, but the 4th strategy for what you can do to get more out of your long-form content is to use it in cornerstone content. Cornerstone content is actually a pretty big topic for another day, but in short, this is like pillar content, foundational content that lives on your website that's really long, very in-depth, includes a lot of links to other pages on your website and outbound links to other sites. Basically, it's where you go really broad about one of the themes or topics for your business. So if you are a salary negotiation consultant or a leadership coach, you might have a couple of themes that you always want to write about and work with on your clients. And one of them could be speaking, one of them could be confidence, one of them could be what's unique about women in leadership, particular things that women need to know about how we show up to leadership. Those might be some themes of yours, and you could use the cornerstone content strategy to write really long form articles about these topics. And the way this relates back to your blog is that cornerstone content, you want it to interlink within your website. So if you have blog posts that go into more detail about women in leadership, for example, you want to make sure those link to your cornerstone content and that your cornerstone content links to those blog posts. So if you've written a blog post and you're either starting to think about cornerstone content or you already have cornerstone content, make sure you're connecting those to each other, and that every time you write a blog post that relates to one of your themes, that you're adding it to your cornerstone content page, writing a shorter version of it, and then linking to the in-depth blog post. That can be, it's helpful not just for your readers in terms of them getting to your site and immediately understanding what you're an expert in, but it's also good for search engine optimization. It helps the Google search algorithm understand your structure, understand that you know what you're talking about, that you are themed, and that you're using these themes to serve your audience. So I hope that is helpful. I hope that gives you some ideas. If you have any additional ideas, I'd love to hear them in the comments. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, I did just write a blog post about this. It goes into more detail about how to do these things and with more specific ideas. I'd love for you to check it out. So I'm going to share a link to it in the comments. And finally, if you have any questions about some of the strategies I shared, or after you read the blog post, if you want to know more about something in particular, especially when it comes to tracking this stuff, I love that kind of thing. So please let me know, share a comment, and I will get back to you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.